Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And we have, oh, alas, Lori's not going to be able to make it. I hope you're doing well, Lori. Lynette is here. John Crow is here. Yay. Okay. So the question, of course, is how is your reading going this week? What did I read? I finished, okay, I'm reading right now A Drop of Corruption, which is a sequel to A Tainted Cup, which won the Hugo this year. And Lynette, I know you read it. Drop of Corruption, just as good. It's a standalone in terms of plot. So you don't need to read the other one if you're interested, but they're both equally good. I don't know why you wouldn't read the Tainted Cup, which sort of introduces how the two fantasies, is this fantasy or sci-fi? This the speculative story, Din and what are their names? I'm blanking on the name. I mean, this is the second book I've read. Anyway, they're how they met, how they got together. Anna Delabra and what's the guy's name? Okay, anyway. And before that, I read or I finished T. Kingfisher's novel. Goodness gracious. I'm having to look it up. Hemlock and Silver. And that definitely is a retelling, not a retelling, and inspired by Snow White, but is not, doesn't really have anything to do with Snow White. I highly recommend that one too. The beginning, the first like the first chapter introduces everything and it gets things going. The second and third chapter is kind of a flashback, kind of slows things down. But after you get through that, it really gets going. Okay. BK Mood is here. Yay. Since last with you, I read The Manzin Wars, The Goat Song, Decision at Duna, and Dwellers in the Mirage. Oh, I remember The Manzin Wars from, that's an oldie from Larry Niven. Don't know the Goat Song. Decision at Duna sounds very familiar. Dwellers in the Mirage. I started Will of the Many, only about 10 pages in. This week I finished 2 novelettes and a novella and 1 short fiction and a play. Wow. Great job for your shorty September reads. I will probably read the sequel to The Tainted Cup next month. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this author, Robert Jackson Bennett. And when I was doing my 2025 Hugo Awards, he won the best novel. And I guess both of us decided to give it a try, and thumbs up, definitely. Okay, so let's get on some makeup. I thought I was going to do something a little different. Or I've tried this a couple times before, and that's the spotlight or halo look with it's like dark around with a spotlight in the center. I usually don't do a great job at this, but I'm going to do something different in pink. Okay, there it is. Decision Duda and McCaffrey. I knew it sounded so familiar. Good Song was a historical by Frank Yerby. Don't know him. Now my problem with these halos is I really need to make perfect half circles. Of course, they're not going to be perfect, but I haven't seen Frank in several weeks. I hope he's okay. Or he's moved on, which is fine, but as long as he's okay. I debated with ChatGPT if the Tainted Cup was true fantasy, as the powers are biological and not fantastical. What did it say? Yeah, my definition of fantasy is, in my opinion, it definitely needs magic. It doesn't have to be like, wizard throwing spells, not that type of magic, but there has to be some type of magical element to it. And Tainted Cup could, or may not have that out and out magical element, since it's sort of like biological. One thing about pink is there is no real, this is like my dark pink on this row here, but dark pink is really red, but I don't want to do red. So I will end up doing a lot of black because there's just no way around it to get a good halo effect. It said it was fantasy because it was set on another world, but I said there are many science fiction books. I know that's kind of a stupid argument. And the powers are through enhancement. I read a novel back in the 70s, can't remember the title or author. It equated magic to forms of psionic power. It has also been said that pink is light red. Yeah. Yeah, I consider psionics, especially since I'm reading all these old retro Hugos. A lot of them have psionics. Um, And I've always considered that to be, science fiction, which is why and I know people will debate me on this, or maybe they won't. I think a lot of, Stephen King's, especially his early works, is, science fiction. Like Firestarter, I think is definitely science fiction, um, where the emphasis is on having psychic powers. The Dead Zone, um, Carrie, maybe. Tommyknockers is well, that's not psionic, but oh, okay, there's the, one of the his later books or more recent books I really liked because it felt like a throwback to those old, old novels that I liked was, The Institute, and apparently it's a series on TV, and of course, I'd have to buy a streaming channel to watch it, but I may wait. I think it's Peacock. I may wait until they're all released and just get, like, a month of it. I am kinda curious about their psionics were in early D&D games, which is very fantasy. Yep, I had psionics on my D&D character back in the '80s. It's like Savis Korak's books, fantasy without any magic at all. It is set on a medieval world that isn't Earth. Um, I don't know Savis Korak's. I still think there has to be some type of magical element, even if it's just like, fantastical creatures, um, just something. Otherwise, it just feels to me like alternate Earth type stories. First edition on, although it was often an optional game mechanic. Well, when we played, it was this is second edition, um, where after you roll a character or you create a character, you roll percentile dice, and there's like a couple percentage point chance, I think, based on your intelligence and wisdom or something to have psionics, and you'd roll on these random tables. Anyway, we won't nerd out too much on D&D. Okay. Even the Shining had ghosts. I mean, Shining, you have to squint to make it science fiction, but I mean, those psionic powers, the knack. Okay. On that note, I won't be on next Saturday. It's your 67th. Congratulations, and we're having a 2-day game to celebrate. D&D game? Soundings were very low percentiles. Few made that roll, so it was mostly ignored for the game. I remember every time we went up, if we went up intelligence or got a intelligence or wisdom point, we would make a roll. Um, I will not be here the first week of October. What is that? October 4th, because my writing group is having we're having a retreat. I guess these aren't okay. Gonna have to blow out the dark pink a little bit. Mm. And I am going to have to use a little bit of black to darken this up. Finished watching Wednesday. Now I have to find something else for my 2 hours of TV a week. Well, I've been telling you Orphan Black, or if you want to, you haven't seen this older Netflix show called Sense8. Really good. I've really been enjoying watching Alien Earth on Hulu. Which is definitely space horror. But it's really intense, and it's getting more and more intense. And I'm kind of enjoying just being able to watch 1 hour a week. I think I've mentioned before how when streaming first came out, how enchanted I was with being able to watch a whole series. But now it just seems like a lot. It's like, oh man, you have to clear an entire day just to watch this 10-part series. And I know, of course, you don't. Of course, you can watch just like 2 episodes and just turn it off. It's just kind of hard to do when it's like right there and the series is right there. Okay. I did not do much advanced D&D, but I remember Psionics had its own book. Yeah, we didn't have the same book. It was just part of the one we when we played. It was just part of the player's handbook. Maybe there's something in the DM's guide. See that? No, Sense8 is the siblings. I think they're both trans now, but they did the Matrix. Let's say Walkowski, maybe. Sometimes I wish I was 67, 8 years older, if I would have been old enough to still have early Hot Wheels and Johnny Lightning cars for my youth. Rose and I binged Enterprise, Tonya, and Siva and watched the animated Predator movie. Sounds like fun. I was never really into cars. I built aircraft and sci-fi models. I was terrible with models. I mean, I liked the idea of them, but I just wasn't very good at the hand-eye coordination. 2D7s, one cling. Oh, those sci-fi models of the old Enterprise. I never had one, but I was so jealous of those people that did and could make them. The Klingon one looked really cool. If you Google it, Alien Earth is on Disney in Australia, so I might watch it. It's I was like squirming in my seat for the last episode. Might just want to do one episode a week on that one. Okay. So now comes the tricky part. I'm going to cut the crease, then do sort of the inner pink coming into a white inner middle. Try to make models with my kid, but the glue gave me migraines. Yeah, you could get high off that glue, the model airplane glue. I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago about the models I loved, I was just enchanted with as a kid were these, and it's because of my friend had one or had them, had a little set of them, but it was a car, like this little car with this big monster in it. I don't know what they were called, but his looked so cool, and I begged to get one, and I just could not put it together. I like had glue all over my fingers, and the thing just didn't look right, and my paint job over it just it was to, and I wonder because I don't know, 7 years old, something like that, but you don't have that great of hand coordination when you're that young. So I wonder if his parents really helped him with it. No. Yeah, Blake Seven's a fun one to rewatch. I do model trains and slot cars now, but still love my Hot Wheels. My surviving Hot Wheels are from the mid 70s when I was old enough. God, I don't have anything from that time. Tricks Racing Cars. Hey Tim, thank you for joining. Yay. Tell us what you've been reading this week, if anything at all, if you want to share. Okay, here we go. A friend of mine built a scale model of station for the 1960s, and it was featured in Railway Modeler magazine. Wow. Yeah, people in model trains could really be something. I had a model train as a kid, but it was just one of those cheap ones. I mean, talking about Hot Wheels, I know I had those um, plastic roads that you would like put together. Okay, so I guess I'm going to start with pink. I'm redoing the pink that I did on the outside on the inside, but in stripes. Might search for I Blake 7 DVDs and watch it again. Still watching or working on That Hideous Strength and a couple of horror novels. Nice. My reading has been off and on. Need to get more serious. My kids were into Transformers rather than Hot Wheels. Yeah, Transformers were kind of after my time. But if I know they would be my favorite toys if they were around. Oops. Okay. A problem with these spotlights before is I didn't do enough of the white center. I had a Hornsby train set back in the 60s, but no real room to set it up. Yeah, that's the other thing. They take up a lot of room. If you're in a small little 1,200 square foot house, there's only so much strength. I mean, room. I'm reading strength. That His strength is difficult, but I will stay with it. It's been a while since I've read it. I mean, I think it was one of the more enjoyable ones from that trilogy because Paralandra was very claustrophobic because it was just Ransom and that girl. But I did like those. Were they like seal men? I love that hideous string. I did try a few glue models as a kid. She wasn't very skilled at those attempts. I always liked my brother's Hot Wheels. My nephew loved them too. I also love the smell of the glue. Most of my play models did not survive my mom's duster. My son tried to build Bismarck. Wow, that's very ambitious. But he got monthly with a magazine. He gave up halfway through. All that British university politics bores me. Oh, for that hideous strength. Ship models are very tricky. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the white now and then try to blend it, as if anyone really cares. Had a battleship model with 1,000,000 pieces was a fail. Okay, come on, white. I'm not sure if you got, the sort of subscription magazines now, the news agency used to get them for you, but very few news agencies are around now. I don't know what that is. I use Toluene in lab work, smells like old bottle glue. Yeah, I don't have any. I mean, I used to have subscription magazines, but it's been a long, long time. Okay. Okay. This side. And now I'm going in with a little bit of black. Magazines and newspapers have fallen off with the internet. Yeah. I can't even remember the last time I've read a physical newspaper. I mean, I'm sure they still make them. They must, like the New York Times and Miss Magazines. My mother used to get the Ladies' Home Journal and McCall's and Redbook. Don't see them anymore. We never got those, but we definitely got Reader's Digest. If you remember those little ones that you put. Well, we put in the restroom, so when you're doing your business, you had something to read. McCall's had a paper doll insert every month. Pre-Warhammer White Dwarf collection. News agency is dedicated shop that sells newspapers. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we have them here. We have newspaper stands. It has like magazines and stuff, lottery ticket stationery. I guess that'd just be our convenience stores. I did buy a, do I have it around? Somewhere around here, I did do, I picked up like a copy of fantasy and science fiction. I think it was at a Barnes and Noble, and I was just sort of nostalgic, but I didn't even read any of the stories. I didn't recognize any of the names. Okay, so this is basically the Halo Eye. Mm, feel like I need more pink. Let's just do one more stripe. I do have this Beauty Moon stuff that was sent with when I bought the Wilma Fingerdew palette, and it's just has some sparkle. And again, I feel like I'm the only one that sees the sparkle, but I'm gonna put it down the center. I can see it. Only have one left on the Eastern Shore. We used to have several. I had a couple of White Dwarf, but more Dragon magazines. Yeah, I had a couple Dragon magazines. I never had a subscription, but that's something you'd like buy, or I would buy like an issue of at probably the comic book store. Ours was Yule's, about 5 minutes from our house. Every Friday, all the comics and mags came in. Dragon magazine had some great cartoon jokes in them. Yeah. American Gold Key, DC. Wow, John, you have Dragon #1. Wow. I haven't read an SF anthology in a long time, but a few months ago I got one with a bunch of short stories from the library and was surprised at how SF short stories have changed in the past decades. You know what I should get? I think in the Hugo and Nebula Awards, they have like an anthology of the shorts, the short stories and novellas, baby novelettes. Do they have all three? But anyway, they sell the collections. Even horror short stories have changed dramatically from the ones I read years ago. Yeah, I read that anthology from that really wild author whose name I forget. Let me look it up. Hey, talking about books and not remembering the names of the people. Oh gosh, was it last year? Must have been last year. M. Shaw, that was it. Um, but I was never big in short stories in general, even though I'd get them once in a while. I did definitely get the Books of Blood by Clive Barker, which were great. If you haven't read them, but like I wouldn't usually pick up one of even like a Stephen King anthology. Those anthologies are great, and I recommend them. My son loved those small war comics, Combat. I haven't picked those up. Yeah, I don't know those. War comics. That's cool. I read before the Golden Age, number 1, number 2, some interesting ideas in there. Hey, if you guys haven't picked up, Dangerous Visions and Again Dangerous Visions by Harlan Ellison, some of the best short fiction from the, 60s and 70s. I think Dangerous Visions was the late 60s and Again was the early 70s. I still have not picked up the latest one, which, w they put out after his death I like variety, and anthologies are full of variety. Maximilian Bacchus. Hmm. I thought I read all of Clive Barker's books, so I don't recognize that one. Jerry Pournelle edited 2 books about alternate technology a step farther out. They're quite interesting. Looking for a small brush. Oops. Novella or novelette. Maximilian Bacchus. Yeah, he hasn't really put anything new out that I'm aware of. Maybe he has, I just don't know in a while. But he's my favorite horror writer, Clive Barker. For me, I put him ahead of Stephen King. Actually, I kind of put Anne Rice ahead of Stephen King. We have our own personal preferences. Oh yes, I love Titus Crow, and that's a riff on Lovecraft by Lumley. Yeah, good call, John. Yeah, I like that one. And I tried to get into Lumley's what's it, the vampire or whatever, and that series is so long. I mean, according to ChatGPT, it's a collection of 4 linked stories that Barker wrote in 1974. What? Okay, I have to look that one up. I love Anne Rice, but I never had to read her novels with the lights on in the daytime, or you never had to, like I did with King. One time I made my sister stay in the room with me while I read a King novel. Oh, that's so funny, Tim. In her mummy book, I can't remember the title. She got the matriculation date and country of origin wrong for the main family's knighthood in arms. See, that's what an editor is supposed to catch. Okay, this is the halo look, but I still need to do the under eye. I think it's the best one I've done, but it might not be saying much. It's kind of funny how people catch these little mistakes that authors don't even think about, but other people do. Oh, did I ever tell you about my father? He was uh, he was a very heavy reader, like we are, but he was like that Tom Clancy type. He liked some mysteries. He's the one that with the collection of Nero Wolfe books, and anyway, he really liked the thriller genre. He tried to find a new author, or he tried out a new author. I think he found at a library, and he was so insulted by the first chapter that he didn't read anymore, and never picked up this author again. And it was because the chapter opened with this guy I guess it was set in the '70s, and he was, um, on a plane, a Pan Am plane to somewhere, um, maybe Europe or something. I don't know. I don't remember the whole thing, but my father was traveled in the '70s on planes a lot, and he was like, "Pan Am did not have a flight from here to here. The guy did do his research." It's like, who else would have caught that and be bothered by it? For some reason, I get the mood for horror around fall. Could it have anything to do with Halloween? Well, the autumn also everything dying, so like the idea of Anne Rice's mummy character being powered by the sun. My favorite of Anne Rice's is still the Witching Hour series, Teltos, all that. Some authors' mistakes really annoy me. They drag me straight out of a book. Yep, that's what it did to my father, even though it's such a obscure mistake. There have been a couple of times in authors' mistakes with nonfiction. Well, nonfiction should not have mistakes, or it should at least be debatable. My pet peeve is with American authors who use British and English as interchangeable nouns. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Although if it's kind of funny that Mennonites or Amish, one of those, they call anyone who isn't in their community the English. That includes other Americans. Okay, I think this is it for the spotlight. Yeah, hopefully someone catches them. Lives in Pennsylvania, and I'm an Englisher. Yeah, my stepmother was Pennsylvania Dutch. Okay. In Scotland, a really bad insult is stop being English. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna do I have pink lipstick? Here we go. Okay. I think I'm gonna outline in brown. When I first read The Death of Grass by John Christopher, about 20 pages in the middle were printed twice and 20 pages left out. What? Oh, how weird. Not being English. So Tim, do you eat scrapple? That's one thing my stepmother introduced us to, which I hated scrapple. I think it's Pennsylvania Dutch. I have a copy of Dreamlands that missed 5 pages. Chaosium replaced it. I detest Scrapple. I had it once at a family reunion, and it tasted like lye. Called the English Palms? You ever recall the English Palms? Oh, I don't know what that means. Yeah, Scrapple's I don't know what lye tastes like, but it's just made up of, like, I think organ meat or what's that stuff? Haggis? I think it's similar to that, but she would have, like, a loaf of it and just slice it really thin and then fry it, and I would just smother it in syrup. 'Cause I did not like it and had to drown out the taste. I didn't have the option not to eat it. These lips are a little wonky. Palms is similar to Americans Yanks, okay. No one really uses that anymore. Yanks or Yank well, that's not true. I know I've read from the, Deep South that says Yankees. Had a mate here with print me a T-shirt with "I am not Anglo-Saxon." Okay, here we go. Let's grapple. I think they soak the pig offal in lye before they make it. Okay. They're supposed to rinse it really well, but if something has been soaked in lye, it's going to taste like it. What do you call the Scots, Welsh, and Cornish? Palms can only be English, it doesn't apply to other Brits. Nothing in particular. Okay. Oops. Okay. Need to bubblegum pink, yep. I'm not sure I'm crazy about it. In South Louisiana, we called North Louisiana Yankees, mostly for fun. I do want to try to darken around this. Um, call the English Sassenach. Sassenach? I don't know how to pronounce that. Cogric Saxons are foreigners. Foreigners. I want to go darker around the. Okay, this may be a mistake, but I like that. It gives it more dimension, even though And I'm gonna have to tone it down. Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, DK. The lips really pop. We do sometimes call the Scots jock or Welsh taffy, but those are English words, not Australian. Okay. I'm going to put on the eyelashes and hopefully this will finalize the look. Oops. Where did I put my glue? Oh, I hope I didn't throw my eyelash glue out. What is this? Oh, here. I was getting scared there for a minute. Model glue. Okay. Okay, so these are the eyelashes. Paw means someone who's fancy or bougie. Well, that's what bougie means. No one knows the origin of palm. It was first recorded in 1912 and became popular in World War One. Back in the UK, a friend found out that eyelash glue was a form of PVA glue and switched to use that to save money. Some Australians call Americans Steppo, but that comes from rhyming slang. I think rhyming slang is so fascinating. I don't get any of it, but just interesting how it has come about. By the way, for my eyelash glue, I use wig glue, which you're probably not supposed to use, but but I don't put it on my eye line. It's like above it. It's what many drag queens use. Okay. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. I still am attempting to use these face tapes. I used it last week. To, and while I was filming, it kind of popped off. So I think it has to do because I have kind of oily skin. But this is also the third time I've used it. So okay. I haven't used this wig in a while. It's my big old fancy wig. Septic tank yank Seppo. I would never have gotten that. That is funny. Uh, Not something to rhyming slang for immigrant. Do you mean for palm? One of the theories. Immigrant, pomegranate. I don't know if they really rhyme. Another theory is prisoner of Her Majesty, POM. Oh, thank you, John. Yes, sort of a red Marie Antoinette type styled wig. Let me zoom out just a little. Let me grab some gloves. Grabbed a ring. Oh, well. Okay, this is the final look, and again, it's the, spotlight or halo look, which this is the best I've ever done it before, and I've I've tried it a few times, and, maybe I'll try it again. Maybe not next week, but, be interesting in maybe purple. I think the last time I tried it was blue. Anyway, I'll be filming a video on, an Isaac Asimov book today, and this week what am I gonna publish this week? Oh, it's a pick of a book. I'm probably gonna pick the book I'm gonna film about today, so maybe forget you've heard that. So, I will be back next week, and as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.